Hey Christina, alright, so here is your past life spread for the past life reading. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at where you were, what you did with the majority of your time there, an important day with the relationships and the feelings involved, another important day with the relationships and the feelings involved. Over here we have the death and lesson learned with hints of time throughout, okay? So all I'm going to do is relay to you the imagery and impressions that are already coming through, and your job is going to be to try to make connections where you can based off of what comes through here and your current life, and I'll try to help however I can, okay? So just keep in mind there's a couple of ways to make connections, direct and opposite. Direct connections is when you can directly connect or resonate with the things that come through, like right off the bat. It'd be just a direct kind of thing, parallel, you would say. An opposite connection, sorry, there might be a dog in the background, so don't mind that. But an opposite connection is when, for example, if we see someone die of a fire in another life, a lot of times they might come back and they might be very scared of fire or flames. Or if someone dies of smoking in another life, they might come back and not want to be around smokers, be allergic to smoke, you know, that kind of thing. So we're looking for opposite connections in that way, all right? So just keep that in mind. You might want to grab a notebook and pen because a lot of stuff tends to come through. And your job also just connect and resonate however you can, but don't force anything. And what you don't connect with, you just want to tuck in the back of your mind for a later time, because things could come up in the days, weeks, months, year following this where things like click, and then you'll be like, oh, that's what she was talking about. So just keep that in mind, all right? Okie doke, so we're going to start. So first off, this aspect of you feels like we're looking at another female, a feminine aspect. There's something about the feminine aspect here where there's a fluidity in this person's physique or movement, almost like it's something graceful and almost like dancer-like. And so what they're showing me is just like this visual of this. I want to say it's almost like a contortionist or an acrobatic person, almost like the feeling of being part of a circus act or a circus routine. So, as I'm talking, we're going to go to the first card here. So this is the Americas card, where we're going, you know, and it feels like this could very well be like that Barnum and Bailey circus Ringling Brothers thing that we've heard about, where they used to travel around a lot and perform. And I mean, it could be distinctly specifically them, or they could just be utilizing that in my mind to give me like a very close parallel of the kind of lifestyle, because it feels like we're going and looking at a traveling circus or performance artist troupe or group that's like very large and moves around a lot. Something that has like a really good repute or reputation as well. So that's why it feels like, oh, Ringling Brothers or something like that, Barnum and Bailey, because it'd be like a name that hasn't been lost to history as of right now, is what it feels like. So what I'd like for you to do actually with that is Google when they were prevalent or when they started out. It feels like this is more towards the beginning, like when they were just getting popular. So go look that up, and I feel like that'll give you around like roughly the timeline we're looking at, or the year kind of thing. And so how you might connect with that would be if that time in history is a time that you have been intrigued by, whether you learned about in school or when you read about things or like read up on history in any way, that era in history, if that ever pulls to you. It could be the fashion, the culture, the music of the time, whatever that might be. So that may be a connection, and if not, that's fine. But we're also looking at a connection to this acrobatic, contortionist, something with the physical. So in your current life, a direct connection would be if you are drawn to do physical, to incorporate physical acts or techniques or hobbies, we'll say, or even your career, whatever it might be, physicality into your routine, your daily lifestyle. This could include you, like if you like dancing, if it could be yoga, it could be acrobatics if you've been drawn to circus arts or doing circus arts, or like even pole dancing is like acrobatic and graceful, you know what I mean, like all kinds of things. So how might this be a connection in your current life? The directly again would be very physical, almost. It would be the kind of thing where it might have been something you considered to do as a career, or still are considering, or just spend a lot of time at it. Let's see. Now, the opposite connection would be if in your current life you are someone that is sedentary and you're maybe not even very flexible, and exercise or physical like movement like dance, it's not my cup of tea. I prefer like reading or writing or more. Whoop, you hear that? Jeez, wow. But sorry about that. Sorry about these background noises. But you might prefer more sedentary type of hobby. So we want to look at how physical movement, it plays a role in your life. But more than that, in the case that if you have any aches or pains or like bothering irritation kind of thing with your body, like stiffness or even like headaches, and I'm not a medical doctor, disclaimer, whatever, but you might need to incorporate certain physical movements in your life. And it might be the kind of thing where you might like, maybe you need to, you need a massage, or you need a chiropractor, or you need to do stretching every day, or you should be doing something physical, you know what I mean? If you know about that, this would just be a message for you to go ahead and try to begin a routine or practice in that case. But again, the direct connection would be if you already do physical incorporation of physical routines into your life kind of deal. But here we are seeing also what I feel like I want to say, a performance artist, and she is, and there's something where it's something about her not being first runner up, in the sense where it's almost like in a play when there's the character and then they have the under character. I forgot what the word is. It's like a understory. There's a word for it. The person that basically steps in if that person gets sick, and that's what I feel like you are here in the circus. So it's almost like you stay limber and you stay up to date on the routine and everything, just in the case that the main person like hurts themselves or can't make it or is sick or something, you step in. So we are seeing someone who is, there's the theory or the idea here of second best coming through. So we might want to look at that in your current life as a connection to how you feel about being second best. Do you see this being a theme that is recurring? And if so, it would be a connection here where it's like pulled over from another life, and it doesn't have to be that way. So if you ever find like your second fiddle, or you feel like your second option, or second, that kind of thing where it might even frustrate you, and this could be in your past, it could be now or to come, whatever it might be, where you find yourself second and not in the spotlight, I almost want to say in that there's a lot of lessons. So I feel like a lot of lessons were learned in this life about that, patience and kind of like self-soothing techniques, coping mechanisms, also kind of like not a damaged ego, but like a hit to the ego that's kind of like, it's a hit to the ego, and then the idea where you don't have control over it. You just have to kind of take it, because there's something about you wanting so badly, like to stay with this traveling troop, whatever it might be. It might be because it's like hard to get into and you're just happy to be in it. Or it could be that it almost feels too like you don't have anywhere else to go and call home. So this is your home, so you'll take what you can get kind of thing. And this can connect in your current life if you've ever, again, either felt like second fiddle, or if you put yourself second. Like if you talk down to yourself in a way where you're like, I can never, get, like if you were, let's say you were in a competition, you might even expect that you would not get first, but you would get maybe second, like that kind of thing. If you have that mindset about you, you have to understand that this is manifestation. So you need to do your best, that if you've seen this as a theme in your life, you need to do your best to not allow your past, the past pattern of it, trick your mind into thinking it's always going to happen, because our brains look for evidence to prove our beliefs. And so it's easy for us to dip into the past and look there for proof, and then that just continues a cycle that doesn't always serve us. Kind of like, it's the kind of thing where it's like, if you've always been cheated on in the past, we'll say, you're just going, you look back in the past and you think, well, I guess it's just going to happen again. And then you go into another relationship where everything's okay, but your mental patterning is such that it's almost cultivating the energy of an expectation that something will occur. And that in itself can manifest it, you see? So what it comes down to is the idea of also in your current life, how do you feel about control? Are you someone that likes to control certain situations or be in control? And that's the kind of thing where if that's the case, this is coming up for you to let go, because what's holding, if you connect, the reason why there's control would be because there's a fear behind it. And you want to find where that fear is coming from that is making it so you want to control something so much that you can't let go and trust that everything will be okay in the end and everything is unraveling perfectly fine as it should be in your best interest. It's almost like the idea coming through is this concept I came across years ago called pronoia, and it's the opposite of paranoia. So paranoid is the world or the universe is conspiring against us. Pronoia, look it up too, Pronoia, pronoia, is the universe is conspiring with us. And I almost want to say that's coming through to help give you a mindset to tap into and to play with, because that can help you manifest a reality that is going to be different from any past patterns that don't serve you or that you feel are damaging or what you don't want to do. Get anything that might be holding you back from moving forward because you don't want it to repeat or something like that. So look into that and see how that might be utilized in your mindset, you know, in order to stop old pattern thinking thoughts kind of thing and replace it with more pronoia based thoughts. So just consider that. And where we're going though, this feels like North America, by the way. I don't know if I even mentioned that. This is the Americas card where we're going, and it feels like North America, and it feels like we're looking at you traveling around North America. So you might even connect with the idea of travel. Are you someone that likes the idea of travel in the sense of adventure, almost like you don't need a reason to go somewhere? Let's just go and see where the locals eat and see what's there and how it feels in the environment and the people, you know what I mean? Like, you don't need purpose to travel, because travel itself to you may be a purpose. So just how you might connect with that. An opposite connection with that would be if you're a homebody, you like being committed and rooted down to the land where you are, and you know, if you travel, okay, and there'd be a reason to travel, and then you'd come home and you'd want to just be at home, you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. This is not introvert versus extrovert. This is specifically like travel. So let's see. So how you might connect with that would be also the idea of North America in that timeline. The culture of North America in the timeline we talked about with the Ringling Brothers, Barnum Bailey kind of thing, and what it was like then. And it can even be like that you like the clothing aesthetic, you know, whatever from that timeline like kind of rings your bell. And if not, that's fine. Just tuck in the back of your mind for a later time. And we're going to go to the next card here. This is what you do with the majority of your time. I know we're already talking about the circus or this traveling troupe of performance artistry. The card here is the art card though. So this is just confirmation, validation that we are talking about you being an artist, and this is a physical artist. So this doesn't have to mean in your current life that you do physical artistry, but it could. And also the idea that there might be things that people generally don't consider art that is art. You know, I mean, even like, it's so silly, but what's coming through is like the art of listening. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of types of art to consider. So I almost want to say, in your own life, you know, if you aren't directly like an artist, physical artist, or even just like a fine artist, you know, just an artist, if you're not, to actually look at your life and see where you can actually find that you are an artist. And by that, I almost want to say like a crafter, a master, whatever. It could be even just like an art of knowing something, or an art of behavior. Maybe you are an artist in how you hold yourself, or you're an artist in enthusiasm. You know what I mean? I almost want to say to put your strengths in your mind, to hold them up on a pedestal in the way that you are an artist of that thing that you are very good at. Because what I feel like I want to do for you, not do for you, but like bring what I feel like wants to be brought to the surface is the idea of self-confidence by finding things and redefining them as artistry, so that you can really see just how like magnificent being a human being is, that you have all these qualities that you might disregard as nothing, like as natural, but usually it's those natural qualities that you're just used to and you disregard, that they're actually an art form of being human. And it's about tweaking your perspective to hold yourself in higher regard for things that you might not otherwise look at. And this helps with confidence and self-worth and self-value. These things that like we're really good at but just feel so natural to us. You know, it's almost like people who help others like write a resume. Like someone like a friend goes to a friend who's really good at the written word, and they're like, "Can you help me write a resume?" "Oh, sure." "Wow, you should do this for a living." They're like, "Oh, no, what? This for a living? This is like breathing for me. I can do this in my sleep. Why would I charge?" Well, because it's valuable, you know? And I know that's an odd example, but that's a lot of things. I'm not saying to go ahead and like, you know, charge people based off of your natural abilities, but also you can, depending on what they are. You know, like you might actually have a personality where it might be great for coaching, and to you it's just being friendly, but you also might not notice that you're actually helping people achieve goals and feel better about themselves and motivated and inspired, and that can be a coach, a motivational coach. You know what I mean? So this is just a call to look at your life and see what qualities that you have that may be very natural that you're not noticing. I know I'm repeating myself, but usually that's because there's a reason behind it. So go ahead and do some check-in, food for thought kind of thing, process, and look within yourself and see what qualities you are basically just like limiting or not celebrating. Qualities of yourself that you're not celebrating that should be celebrated. That's what we're looking at. Almost like, don't place yourself or your traits or qualities, don't place them second best. Like hold them in the spotlight. Like don't be afraid to do that, and don't let others' judgment keep you from putting your qualities in the spotlight, because it's very likely it could help people as well. But at the very least, we're looking to help you. So, yeah. Hold on one second. This can also lead into a connection for you. If you've ever wanted the spotlight, if you've ever wanted your reputation to be known for whatever it is that you want to do, for whatever, even if you don't know what, but just that feeling of wanting it, it would be because here, too, you didn't get the spotlight when you could have had it, and it was like right in front of you, but because you were the what's the name? The under character? Whatever, the second, you know, the second one up, you never got to have that spotlight, even though you had everything designed and all of the qualities and all the skill sets to be in the spotlight. It almost feels like that you never quite got it. So in your current life, it's very likely that if you have those feelings, first of all, don't be ashamed by any feelings of wanting a good reputation, to be known, to be celebrated, to be heard, to be revered, whatever it is, to be famous. Like it doesn't matter. Those feelings are feelings, and this is where they would come from, and there's no shame in them, just in the case that you do connect. And this can also mean that you are gaining reputation or gaining a name for yourself or whatever it might be. That ultimately, basically, if you want it, it is yours. You can have it, because this is the life where you played second fiddle. Your current life now is to step into the spotlight, should that be your goal and desire. And it can be yours. And if you feel like it can't be yours because, let's say, of past, memories where it wasn't yours, that's what we were talking before about breaking those patterns and understanding it comes from a different time. You can let it go. Through meditation, intention, hypnosis, there are ways to let that go, cut that cord, and move into the spotlight if that's what you want. Okay, so just keep that in mind and keep making connections where you can. So let's go to the first important day here. The first important day here, this is the marriage card. So we're either seeing you get married, we're witnessing a marriage. The relationship here is the soul group. Now, the soul group is usually more than two people that come back around in each other's lives time and time again. Sometimes it's to be a guide while another one is a human. Other, like living alive on, planet Earth. Other times they're together, both living, in each other's lives to learn lessons, to help each other. Most often we get the soul group card when it's tribe. Like when it's people who just do well together and are, have each other's backs, essentially. Then the feelings involved here is the joy card. Okay. So I feel like what we're seeing here is there's something about you where you do give up that dream of the spotlight or whatever it might be. It feels like there's either someone in the performance art with you, like this group with you, that you fall in love, you both fall in love because you're working side by side together, or it's someone you meet along the way. But now that as I'm talking, it feels more like this is someone who works in the group or troupe, but they're not a performer. They are someone like, I see them like kind of like holding chords, if that means like holding chords, like holding people up, hoisting people up, working behind the scenes, working with the technical stuff and the lights and things like that. So we're looking at like, you're the performance artist and you get with someone from the crew essentially. And it's a really great match because this is actually, when I said you didn't get to step into the spotlight, you actually do in his eyes. So it feels like you are the world to this person, and you are getting all the feelings that you thought it would feel like if you were in the spotlight. You know, like the reverence and the adoration and the love and the everything, like the what's it called, the applause, not the applause, but like the support. And it's really lovely because basically you manifested all the feelings you wanted to feel. It just looks a different way. And I feel like this may be coming up for you in your current life, because it could be that you are manifesting something and it's happening, what you want is happening, but it may not look like what you thought it would look like. So you might be confused and think, oh, well, I guess it's not coming around, it's not happening, but you might be looking right at it. I know that sounds so strange, but it's because here's the thing with manifesting, and I'm sure maybe you've heard this, it has to do with the emotions. So let's say if you want to manifest a car, it's not about the car, it's about what the car does to your emotional state. It would make you feel, let's say, free. But then something else might come along that gives you the feeling of freedom and happiness that you would have, that you would feel had you gotten that car. But it's not the car, it's something else, but it's the same, it's the feeling you wanted. So you actually manifested because you reached the emotional state that you were aiming for, that you wanted, but it just didn't look like what you thought it would look like. For like, you know, so hopefully that makes sense. So just, this is kind of like, hey, just do a look-see around and see if there's not something kind of right in front of you that you might not have considered because you thought it would look different, but yet it's giving you all the feelings that you wanted to feel. That kind of thing. So just connect how you can with that. And if you can't right now, just tuck in the back of your mind and see what comes up soon or later, honestly, because I feel like that's, you know, that's a very specific, interesting thing that came up, and I don't get that often, if at all. So, let's see what we're looking at here. So this marriage, it feels like everyone in the performance and also the actual ceremony, everyone's there. Like, they show up and it's almost like a day where you realize that this troupe is actually really like lovely. Like, they're your friends, they're your family, more than you realized, because it's like, this is one of the most special days of your life, and who's there? It's these people. Otherwise, these people that, you know, are just tired and you say hi and you work with and you trust in the work and all that, but like, you know, you don't think of them as like family until you realize, well, they're the only ones here witnessing my union in love with this person who's also part of this place. Like, I would not have found this person had I not been here. So it's almost like realizing that, like, you might have been taking this time with the troupe, you might have been taking it a little bit like a slice for granted, and then all of a sudden you feel so filled up, like at this time, like it hits you, like there's a realization that hits you because you allowed yourself to let go of needing the spotlight to focus on your love life, and you let that take over. And because you let go of the control up here and allowed kind of the universe to flow in with that manifestation, essentially, in other words, you felt as full as you've ever felt before. It was the most fulfilling thing, and it was just like a big, like, aha moment is what it is this whole day, and it's really lovely. So I feel like that's just another message of trying your best to see where you might be holding on to something still, and just through your awareness and at your own pace to try to let it go, or try to let go of any control you have over it, whether it's the kind of thing where you are remembering something from the past and you play it in your mind a different way, the way that you wanted it to play out. So that's kind of like a measure of control. There's different ways that people are unaware that they're trying to control a situation that is already like in the past. So this is about letting go of the past. This is about letting go of your dreams. Hold on to the feelings that you want your dreams to give you, and that's how you can manifest. It's not about letting go of that. It's just letting go of things that are already done and gone. That kind of thing. So keep making connections where you can, and we're gonna go to the next important day. Alright, so here we have the Mother Nature card, and this card is usually representing a natural disaster, but oftentimes too, the Mother Nature card can actually be like a natural disaster, like in the body as well. So we're just going to see what comes through with that. The card here, this is the spouse card, and I feel like we are looking at your spouse, and then this is kind of a lonely, nostalgic feel. So what I'm feeling from this, with the natural disaster card, it feels like there is something that happened, like almost like when it ices over one night and there's something with the machinery. It feels like something like where if it ices over and then it gets warmer, there's something where I'm feeling like there's a pressure, like metal or whatever, something pressurized then depressurized, and it wasn't checked properly. And I feel like something happened where your partner got injured. Like, almost like I want to say, like, it might have taken off, like, the bottom part of a leg. Or just, like, a significant section of a limb. And it feels like he went into a deep depression and withdrew emotionally. And you had to kind of go through that with him because he's still part of the troupe. Too, like you know, like you're still in this together. This is your lives, but it's your life. But we're looking at like almost emotional abandonment because of depression on his part, and then that caused your depression because it's like there was no bringing him out of it. There's something about this guy where it was like a deep shame of his masculinity. And I almost want to say he withdrew sexually as well. Just he withdrew, like, from, like, being a partner and even a friend. It's kind of, this is really, it's just emotional abandonment. So in your current life, that might be a trigger for you, or you might find yourself having a theme of that. But it would come from this time, and you don't have to repeat the theme anymore. It's just like the other things we were talking about, where when you're aware of where a theme may come from, you can cut it off if it's not of the present time and you're not playing out any karma. This isn't karma on you. You know what I mean? That's just your soul, like, doing like an echo of something, and you don't need it. So just in the case that you're finding that, you can cut that with intention. Just like, I no longer accept this as a theme in my life. And like get out of that reality, that vibration, that kind of timeline. This might explain if you go into depression, bouts of depression. This can also, if you are triggered when you see people who are missing a limb or part of their body, or if a part of their body is distorted, if you get triggered by that, it comes from here, because this would be a soul memory of a limb or a disfiguration or a distortion of the body equaling emotional abandonment in a way. So that would be a trigger. And if not, what this can also be is if you actually I want to say, like, when I say trigger, it's also like it's a focus too. So if you notice that about someone, that would be all you focus on, is if they had that deformation or physical whatever it might be. So if you are highly aware of people's image and their physicality, and like highly, like it's just what you notice, like almost like it could even be a fascination, or it could be a focal point. It could be important to you. The physicalness, especially in a partner, it might be very important that they are physically, maybe not physically fit, but they're physically all there. But as well, it would be an emotional presence. So more than anything, I would say that, let's say if you're in a relationship and it's not going great, it would be, yeah, it would be a lack of emotional presence. But if you're not in a relationship, it would be the one you're looking for will be emotionally present right away, but then it would also trigger you. So just be aware, if you meet someone who seems emotionally present, or if you're back with someone or you're with someone that's emotionally, very emotionally present, be aware if you are triggered into thinking thoughts like, oh, this won't last. Oh, he won't or she won't be this way for long. Or once they get to know me, it's, whatever. Or the other shoe is going to drop kind of thing. So if you have any of those thoughts, just know, first of all, that's the ego saying this isn't going to work out. Because it wants to like preserve you in a way, like it wants to save you pain. So it's self-sabotage essentially. So if you know that about yourself, it comes from this emotional abandonment that happened after somebody was injured and didn't allow you to help them. So this can also mean that you might connect in the way where if you find yourself constantly with people if you're trying to, one, either take their temperature, like, are you okay, everything good, like always like wanting to feel out the situation for whatever reason. But it's, what's the other thing? It's either that or it's almost like you're walking on eggshells and might be a people pleaser, or you might want to buy them stuff. Like if you're out, you'll take care of the bill or the drinks or whatever, if that's your case, as a direct connection in order to keep them happy with you. So just see if there's any connection with that, it would come from here. And if not, that's perfectly fine. It could be opposite connection. Opposite connection is if you have healthy boundaries, you know your worth, and you're not going to suffer any fools who won't come to you, who want to come to you without emotional stability or an emotional presence to offer you, or emotional support, that kind of thing. So just keep that in mind and keep making connections with that however you can. This can also indicate if you are a nostalgic person, and if you find yourself being a nostalgic person, there would just be a message in that to make sure you're not dwelling in past memories. It's okay to dip back and learn from it, and if it's good memories, to dip back and not feel sad that it's no longer happening. Just make sure you're not dwelling in the past where it's painful, and that is essentially dwelling in a vibration that you no longer want to be in. That's if you get nostalgic. But it's good to sometimes, be nostalgic for a few moments here and there, or whatever, if it's for a higher purpose. But just recognize when you're doing that and kind of be aware of your motivation for dipping into past memories, okay? So keep that in mind. Keep making connections where you can with that. And we're going to the Death card, which is the accident card. And I'm just seeing what's happening, if it's like an accident from the job. So they're just showing me a vehicle, and this is like an old-timey vehicle too. I almost want to say you got in a vehicle, a car wreck or a vehicle crash, quite frankly, outside of the job, which is kind of strange because I was semi-expecting it to be like on the job, like you were doing acro or something and you fell, but it's not like that. It's like, this is very much a vehicle. It's almost like it's like you wanted to cheer up your spouse, your partner, so you're like, let's get away for a weekend, let's just take leave essentially and go visit like the countryside or something, like get away, like you wanted him to have like some fresh air or something. And it feels like I think you were driving because of his injury or something, like, hold on, but it wasn't your fault. It feels like someone crashed into you and you passed, and I don't know if he passed. I think it was just you. But the only connection here would be if you don't like driving, if you fear getting in a car accident and you don't know why, like you would fear it. Like, of course, it's always like good to like, be cautious, but you might actually fear getting in an accident, like a freak accident. You might get triggered if you hear, read, see a car accident where there's a death involved. I know, when I say triggered, I don't mean like everyone's sad when they hear that, but like triggered in the sense of like it causes a physical reaction in you. Let's see. Yeah. This can also indicate, one more thing could be, if you always feel like you have to prove yourself innocent, or you feel like you have to make sure people know that you are innocent, or not innocent in the way of like naive, but innocent in like, I was right, like I was doing this right, like I followed the directions, like I followed the directions to a T. I don't know why it's not whatever, you know, that kind of thing. I know it's kind of random and specific, but that would be a connection. Otherwise, you know, connect however you can, and if you can't connect, that's, you know, probably a good thing. But connect however you can and keep making connections, and we're going to go to the lesson card. So this is the experience card. And the experience here, what we're dealing with, a lot of times we get this card when it's about like a gamut of experiences, not just like focused on one or two things. There's usually like an array of things, and that's what we went through here. So this is talking about your experience of letting go and not needing to control, needing to be, I want to say, first place, being almost like being like accepting of yourself and loving yourself, even though you're like not in the spotlight and you're the second person here, which, by the way, remember, in your current life you might be back to be in the spotlight, but the lesson here was about experiencing, coping with that and learning to love yourself despite, which you did. That's when you let go, and this happened. So and just because this thing happened to your husband, to this partner, doesn't mean it takes away from what a great partnership it was before it happened. It doesn't cancel it out. So this can also be coming through with a message of, make sure that you don't tarnish the good memories of the past because things turned out poorly. Maintain the higher vibration of better memories. Just preserve them as better memories, and don't taint them with, let's say, just like negative outcomes from those situations, because the negative outcome is its own vibration. And why taint the higher vibration with the lower vibration? It's very natural and human to do that, but when you're aware that you're doing it and that you have control over it, you're going to want to stop doing that in case you do that, so that you can maintain more higher vibrations in your thought and emotional body, mental and emotional bodies, rather than taint that with negative lower vibrations of what might have turned out to be not as high vibration as the memory before. If that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. But that's what's coming through here. And then the experience of essentially becoming kind of not a caretaker, but again, almost like second fiddle in the sense to your partner's injury. So that like his main focus was kind of just being miserable about his injury. And then the second focus again became you. So this life is about experiencing, playing second fiddle to, in a career, in a partnership, you know, that kind of thing. Understand, because that is the experience here, and the lesson was most certainly learned, that anything having to do with these things in your current life do not have to be there. And if you feel like they are there, you need to locate the thought pattern that keeps bringing it up and cut it out. Like, you need to replace it, you need to transform it, transmute that energy, whatever you got to do, cut that cord, because it doesn't belong here anymore. It comes from another time. So just keep that in mind, and, you know, just sit with that and see how that feels for you. But keep making connections to the experience card, because I feel like this is leaking into your current life, where now it's time to experience better things than, even though this was great here, now it's time to experience the spotlight if you want it, or being the focal point if you want it, or at the very least making your life your focal point, making sure that you are the main character in your life movie, so to speak. That's the best thing you can do for yourself. At the very least, think of yourself and treat yourself as though you are the main character, okay? In case you don't. So anyway, keep making connections where you can, but there's your past life reading. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you're able to make some connections, and thanks for letting me read you.